Hey, I hope you're doing well. There's an idea that I've had in my head for a long time, for years, and I've just kind of started to be able to articulate it a little bit better. I really started thinking about it when I came back and started playing matches like about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. It really came to the forefront for me as I was watching Olive from Olive TV play 3 matches this past week. We're not talking about this anywhere else right now. Not a lot of people watch these videos, so I'm going to talk about it here. I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm not going to tell you who she played or what the scores were or anything like that. But what really struck me watching her play against the competitors that she played against last week here in Milwaukee, and by the way, if you don't know who she is, you should subscribe to her YouTube channel. She's a 5-0 for sure, maybe 5-5 level female player and incredibly talented. And watching her compete against kind of the characters here at Essential Tennis or on Real Tennis now, the challenge for her was walking this tightrope. Here's the thing, against really good tennis players, there's this tightrope walk that you have to execute where if you're not aggressive enough and if you don't hit a big enough shot, a strong enough shot, an aggressive enough shot, then the other person totally takes over the match and will just take it from you and they'll win the match because you didn't challenge them enough. But on the other side of this tightrope line, if you will, is a whole bunch of errors. If you push too hard and you try to be too aggressive, and it's outside of your trained ability to control that tempo, then they don't have to really try to beat you because you just end up beating yourself and you end up just handing them the match. And so on both sides of the tightrope, you lose. And at first, this is such a core fundamental skill to, I would say, intermediate to advanced and obviously really advanced, level tennis. This is what I think is the core thing holding back players from advancing because, especially from a beginner level, if you are like a 3-0 or 3-5 level player, you don't really need weapons. You don't really have to have offense. If you just hit the ball in the court anywhere, anyhow, and you're reasonably fast, you have pretty good anticipation, and you find the ball well, and you're just really, really consistent, then you can play and win lots of matches at a beginner-ish, kind of level of play. Once you start wanting to get up to 4.0 or above, you need some kind of weapon, but it doesn't necessarily have to be everything. Like your forehand, your backhand, and your serve and your volleys don't all have to be really solid. You kind of just need like one or two like big attributes, and everything else needs to just kind of be good enough, just consistent to like get the ball on the court for the most part. But if you want to go up to 4-5 and 5-0 and 5-5, like where Olive is, then you have to walk this tightrope of offense where you can't just be consistent, you can't just hit the ball in the court, but you also can't afford to make more errors than necessary. You can't afford to beat yourself because now the other person on the other side has their own weapons and consistency, and they can beat you either way. And so you have to do both. You can't just pick and choose one or the other. You can't just decide to be consistent, and you can't just like slap winners because the other person has consistency too. And so this like tug of war is so fascinating to me, and watching her play against the competitors here, for me, really just brought it to the surface. Like she's an incredible athlete. This is why it was so kind of top of mind for me is everything she does, every way that she moves looks so good. And she has so many different weapons, but she sometimes beats herself. And so it's like it just really brought it to the surface that it's not good enough to just have one. She couldn't just be consistent because the players she was playing against had their own weapons, but she also couldn't push so hard that she beat herself. And that was kind of like the core, for me, theme. It was the core challenge that she faced against the players here in Wisconsin. And when you watch the matches of her, I want you to watch for that. It's not going to be for a couple more weeks, which is why we're not really talking about it yet, as we don't want people to get annoyed and frustrated that it's just the way it is. It takes time, a massive, massive mountain of content that we have to go through and edit. So watch for it. And when you watch it, think about this theme, listen to her comments, her commentary about her own game, and then listen to the commentators as well. And keep this in mind as you develop your own game. Keep this in mind as you decide what to work on and what to develop and what tools you want to add to your toolbox. Because this whole idea and theme is so core to playing good tennis. And if you don't know how to walk the tightrope just right, then you'll either hand over the match to your opponents or you'll end up beating yourself. So, something to think about, something that's been top of mind for me. Hopefully that concept or idea is helpful for you and kind of helps you have maybe a little bit more clear perspective on what you need to do to move forward. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you again really soon. Take care.